I am Baron Baptiste. Welcome to Disrupt the Drift. Today we're going to talk about stress. Stress can kill you. Stress can poison you slowly over time. Or stress can also make you stronger. It can be a source of inner strength. We need stress. Physically, you need stress to develop your body, the mechanics, the muscle, the bones of your body require stress, and consider the muscles of the mind need stress to strive. We need challenge. We need the unknown challenges of life, the difficulties to actually become stronger in ourselves and in life. David, what's your take on stress?
As I always do, I like to look at the meaning and generally speaking, the root meaning of the word. And in the old French, the word estresse, and we were joking about how you want it in the morning, you want an espresso.
Sounds like a coffee
or
drink.
An espresso.
Estress, would you like an estresse or an espresso?
Right.
Yeah, a little stress. How many of us get stress peppered in first thing in the morning, or
how
as
many
soon as
of us
we plug
don't?
into
That's the question.
Plug into the emails and the texts and the phones and the world, the news. Suddenly you've got stress.
Yeah, the old French word is estresse, meant narrowness or oppression, derived from the Latin strictus, meaning tight or compressed. Now, when you feel stressed, and I think a lot of people have what they call these little mini panic attacks all the time when stress comes on. That's why people like to smoke and vape. And man, vaping is very popular today. And what is the source for much of that behavior? And the answer is dealing with stressful situations. And there's 1,000 different stressful situations that can trigger your need to decompress. Remember that word, decompress?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that stress has a lot to do with the way that we deal with what's coming at us. And that's the real question is, how do you deal with what's coming at you?
Yeah. If you have a problem coming at you, a challenge in life, some problem, is it just a problem? Is it just a challenge? Or is it a whole world of pressure and anxiety and that stress that tightens up your muscles in your neck and your jaw and your low back and gives you hemorrhoids and all the physical symptoms, right?
Including mental hemorrhoids.
Mental, that's right. Mental hemorrhoids. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And stress has a way of sneaking up on us. The frog in boiling water. You put a frog in boiling water and it'll bring it to a slow boil. You put a frog in boiling water, it jumps out. You put a frog in cool water, bring it to a slow boil, it'll cook to death. And I think a lot of people are in that slow boil. They're cooking away. And then it starts manifesting in the body as autoimmune disease, all kinds of diseases. It becomes a toxin, poison in the system, physically and mentally, emotionally. You start becoming, also all these like mini reactions that people can have. You react to this, you react to that. You get angry about this, you get triggered about that. All the fear, but all the chemistry that gets stirred up from the endocrine system. And then suddenly living a reactive life most of the time, all of the time, suddenly you've got all these strange chemical concoctions building up in your system and cortisol and, again, autoimmune disturbances and diseases. But what's the way to find more flow? What's the way to let things go moment to moment? What's the antidote to stress?
So when you go to your doctor, which everybody does from time to time, for whatever reason, they have this list of things. Are you being affected by this list of things? It's just a vast list of things. Now, for me, the only thing I can attribute any of my discomforts and my issues to is that one word, stress. So the doctor will tell you, you need less stress. Oh, really? Okay, how do you do that and live in the world that we live in? Yeah. Nobody can build a cocoon around themselves and go into it to avoid stress. There's no place you can go And then
I-
when you go on vacation, you're taking your stress with you.
yeah, it's because it's a kind of mindset. It's a kind of point of view of life.
Yeah.
I remember being younger. I think I was living in Philadelphia at the time, working with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I was exhausted. I was stressed. And I told my wife at the time, I said, let's go to Hawaii and let's get away and decompress and have a break. And we go to Hawaii, and I'm suddenly lying there on the beach in paradise. And Hawaii was just pure paradise,
Yeah.
calm.
Yeah.
The only problem is that I was there with my same reactive mind,
Ah,
thinking about all
that's
those
funny.
problems and
Yeah.
all those issues and difficulties and challenges. And yeah, I was surrounded by paradise, but that's not what was happening within me. Yeah,
But
because
you
wherever
see,
we go, we carry. Wherever you go, there you are, kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The component of that is wherever ego, I go. And so let's look at stress as a component of the ego, because the ego is the part of us that reacts to the world in a defensive way. Think about it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not aware
Yeah.
that it's the ego is very defensive and it's
Yeah.
always like a squirrel in the park looking over its shoulder. I mean, we get used to people putting knives in our backs,
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Really
literally,
good.
but
Yeah.
figuratively. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Or even just in our own imaginations,
That's
we're
also true.
imagining that threat. Yeah.
Right. And so with the ego, look, there's only two kinds of ego. And this is something I probably nobody ever talks about. This is the sacred cow. There is an ego that is full of itself, like overflowing with itself, or there is an ego that has found humility. And so, after years and years of trying to overcome the world on your own, fighting every battle that you can fight, feeling completely rejected by everybody because you stand up for whatever it is you stand up for, then there's a time where you can pass through this veil into the other side of the ego, and that is to find humility. And this again goes back to meditation. And in the scripture, it's described, and it doesn't really talk about what meditation is other than to meditate upon this, that, and the other thing. The passage in the scripture of be still and know, that is a moment of reflection, but it's not on yourself. It's a reflection in the now. And it's in a way, it's a kind of surrender to something greater than you. So real good meditation is
Yeah.
a surrender and a reflection at the same time that you're not God, that you're not in control, that there's something
Yeah.
greater than you. That, and if you believe it for just a moment, that there's something that's watching over you, something benevolent,
Yeah.
and you can release to that for just a second at a time, all of a sudden the stress and the weight of the stress begins to lift.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very good. It's, also with that be still and know that I'm God. It's in that I've had that experience, and it's immediate relief when you
Mhm.
hand over all the fight, all the defensiveness, all the opinions. You give all that up. Hand it over to something greater, your creator. I've experienced just immediate relief.
Yeah.
And in that comes clarity. And it reminds me, Jesus, what did he say about the cup? Cleaneth the cuppeth from the inside, something like that. Clean the cup from the inside.
Yeah.
Clean the inside of the cup. Because we're always working at fixing the outer circumstances, our environments, the outer conditions. But I think the real work is you clear, as you were speaking of, the ego is so full of itself, but then there's a healthy ego that's clear. I almost envision like a glass of water, a clear glass of water
Mm-hmm.
as one ego, and then another glass that's just full of dirty,
Do you
muddy
remember when
water. Yeah.
the event that you and I both attended a few years ago? And
And
not that one, but out in Oregon, at the ranch in Oregon.
oh yeah.
That was exactly my presentation. I took a glass of dirty water and
Oh
I
yeah,
started
that's right. You brought it up to the front of from the
yes,
stage. You brought a glass of
yes.
dirty water.
And I
That's right.
started pouring
Yeah.
clear water into it until the dirty water was gone.
Yeah.
And there is something about this idea of surrender, but you
Mm-hmm.
can't use the force of your will. In other words, and I was thinking about this movie today. I was talking with a friend, and the movie is called Breakthrough. I think it was made in 2019. It was about, and it's based on a true story of a boy who was playing out on this icy pond and he fell through and he swallowed the water and they recovered him. And so he was in a coma. But it's not the story about the boy because the boy was teetering on the edge of life and death. It was about his mother. And his mother was a very religious person and she felt like she could demand of God to heal her child because she was so virtuous. She was such a good person that she kept on expecting God to take care of the situation. But she had her ego and she had her will in this demand of God to do what she knew that only God could do. But then the boy kept getting worse. So in the climax, she eventually goes out onto the roof of the hospital where he's about to die, this little boy. And she looks up into the heavens. She says, "You know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't do this by myself." And she surrenders. She says, "I surrender." And she allowed whatever it is that was above her in her own sense of the truth of the whole situation. If God's going to do something, God's going to do it. It has nothing to do with me at this point, but it did
Yeah.
because she in that moment said that she surrendered. And when she surrendered, miraculously, the little boy started getting better. He started coming back to life.
Yeah.
So trying to force the universe to conform
Force of
to your
will.
will,
Yeah, willpower.
it doesn't work. It's like what
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson said. What are you going to do? Twist the fabric of reality? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah, versus trust in the greater intelligence of this universe
Yeah.
and the creator of the universe, and that there's a natural rhythm and there's a natural intelligence that works on our behalf. But there is a handing it over. It comes to most people that I know. I have friends that have been sober for 30 years and 18 years and 9 years, like that, of alcohol. And they'll tell you, like, because I'll ask them, what was the factor? And it was like, for years, I was wrestling with and resisting, trying to give it up, trying to quit. And the more you resist, the stronger the urge for it. But it's like at a certain point, they had to let go. They had to let go of the fight, surrender to something greater, hand it over to a power greater than yourself. But in that, that's where that flow, like you use the example of the glass full of dirty water, and you kept pouring pure water until the water became all clear.
Right.
But when you get still and meditate, you get quiet, you hand it over, you give up your own force of willing things to change or to be fixed. You access in that quietness, like in meditation, you get your center, and in your center, you access a different source of energy flow, and it's a pure flow, and it puts you into a certain zone, and you're moving, breathing, and having your being from a new place, a new space, and a new source, a new energetic and vibrational and intelligent source. And things start moving and purifying. Your heart gets purified. But it comes back to that conversation you and I have had in the past several times about free will. And I've always held it out as a question mark, like free will. Like Jesus said, you can't turn one white hair black. And then I think even right now, everyone listening right now, try to just stop thinking. Just turn off your thoughts. If you have free will, you have that kind of willpower, just stop thinking. Turn off your thoughts. You can't do it. Or if you are living reactively to stresses and stressors in your life, okay, just stop being angry. Just stop being fearful. If you have free will, really, you would just stop all the things that you don't like, all the things you don't like that you do, all the things that sabotage and undercut you and your confidence in life. Just stop doing them. You would have stopped doing them a long time ago if it was just a matter of willpower.
I will give you the key.
Yeah, the key.
This
the
is
golden
a super
key.
important conversation we're having right now.
Yeah.
And I understand now why you couldn't get settled with this idea of free will. And I'll tell you why. Because it's very perceptive of you, by the way. Very perceptive of you. And this is something almost nobody understands. Free will only exists each and every moment. It's very fleeting. And what I'm
It's a
saying to
moment to
you,
moment. It
well,
exists
it
in the
is
present.
because this is going back to the issue of stress. What does stress do to you? It challenges you in that moment how you will choose and what you will choose and why you will choose and whether or not you choose. And so, in that moment where you're being challenged and you're being tempted and you're being provoked, in that moment, that is where free will shows up. And that's the crucible moment.
Yeah. And I reflect back when I was younger, I used to have to choose more. So someone would be doing something or saying something that would trigger me. Like I'd start getting upset. And then I'd be like, wait, Baron, stop. I'd
Mm-hmm.
literally have to put my tongue between my teeth. Don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Take some breaths, drop into my feet, drop into my body, get
Mm-hmm.
present, don't react. I used to have to coach myself. But then as years have gone by, and I'm not saying I'm immune to this being stressed, but overall, it's if I'm in my center, I don't really have to choose. I see there's a stressor out there that's trying to grab. Maybe it's like a temptation, but I don't have any energy around it. I don't have anything to defend. I can stay open and undefended in the situation and then just see what to do or what to say, maybe what not to say, what not to do. There's a kind of wisdom that I think we mature into when we're searching souls and we're working on ourselves to be coming from a ground of being that is connected to conscience and creator and higher guidance. It's we don't you get what I'm saying? Do we really have to choose? I get when I was in between two worlds, my old identity and reactive mind and dirty ego. The, t- but is again, we have two wolves within us. One's virtuous, one's a villain. Whichever wolf we feed, we strengthen. But over time, if you're strengthening that wolf, that inner wolf of virtue within you, you don't have to even choose. You don't take the hot potatoes that people are throwing your way. You let them drop to the ground, or you just leave the other person holding them. You get what I'm saying there?
I do. And you know what? As I'm listening to you, what comes to my mind is Luke 21:19. For if you stand firm, you will win your souls. Now, the classic in the King James Version, it is through patience possess ye your soul. And this is exactly what we're talking about. We are being put upon in moments of stress, because this is the only way you can look at it. Temptation, challenge, provocation, you name it. But we are being tested to see who we are going to be in that moment. Now, if we are not capable of standing firm, then what happens is we become the effect of an external force. And that force is usually some form of thing from the darkness. Let's put it that way. It's not necessarily evil, because there's all kinds of traffic is not necessarily evil, but yes, it is a stressor. How many times have I pounded on the steering wheel,
Or
right?
getting an IRS bill, or getting
Yes, exactly. With somebody you're
some
working with or somebody you live
information,
with, right?
news that something went awry in your
Right.
work, or
Right.
it's not inherently evil, but it does. But what is it that triggers a reaction, even the need for it? I think
Mm.
that's a question to just leave out there for everyone
Yeah.
listening, watching. It's a good question for me.
It goes back to the ego,
Yeah.
because see,
Yeah.
pride goeth before the fall. In other words, pride is it's a state of mind that you're not even aware of most of the time, because you ever seen a good bar scene fight where one guy hits on another guy's girlfriend? You're not going to do that to me. See, that's the kind of natural ego based response, no matter what it is. You can't do that to me. Or the other flip side of that is there's a cowering. Oh, if I do
It's
this,
all
then that will
defensive
happen.
either way,
Yeah,
right? If
exactly.
you fight, you're
It's either fight
defending
or
something.
flight. Right,
If you freeze up and you shrink back and get
right.
afraid, that's the way of defending yourself. But
Yeah,
it is defensive is a key word, because I think you pointed to it earlier. Reactivity lives from when you're reactive, you're living from a defensive stance.
that's right.
You're defending your opinions, you're defending your judgments, you're defending your assessments, you're defending something, defending your wounded, broken ego, or that you're defending they'll never hurt me again. You're defending
Right.
that you'll never be betrayed again. You're defending something. But let me just say one last thing, and then you can get the last word and we'll wrap up. But
Okay.
there's something too about living reactively. It 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 costs you something.
Hmm.
It costs you something. And I'll speak as an entrepreneur. Living reactively in work, that robs me of my creativity. It robs me of joy. It robs me of flow. It robs me of productivity. And then if I look at my person, just personally living reactively, it just brings me way down on the lower levels of existence, because there are just different levels of
Hmm.
existence on a
Hmm.
vertical line, different levels of existence. And the higher levels of existence, you're thriving and you're in a flow state and you're connected to a higher guidance. And from that higher guidance, it's being communicated through your conscience, and you follow that moment to moment and you have freedom. But reactive costs you your freedom.
Absolutely. And again, this is Luke 21:19. This is the Amplified Bible. By your patient endurance, you will gain your soul. Now, but it begs this interesting question: is your soul yours? And the answer is, and I said it, it's the key, is that free will only exists once you exercise it in the moment. If you
Yeah.
don't exercise your choice in the matter, then you are owned by whatever it is that can get under your skin. And I'll
Yeah.
give you just a parting shot here.
Yeah.
My friend Jerry Doyle, a wonderful guy, but a heavy gambler and a drinker. He comes out of a casino one morning. He's gambling all night long with his friend. They come out a side door, and some guy comes up to him and puts a gun to his head. And he says, "Give me your wallet." And my friend Jerry says, he thinks about it for a moment. He goes, "Not today." And he says, "I'm going to kill you." And my friend says, "Not today. Nope, not today." And the guy threatens him with every ounce of energy that he has. "I'm going to kill you." "No, you're not. Not today." So he finally realizes that this guy is intractable and he doesn't want to kill him. So he whips around to his friend, and his friend throws his wallet at him. My friend Jerry walked away with his wallet. Now, was it a stupid thing for him to do? Probably. But this is the kind of tenacity that you have to have toward every kind of thing that you detect that's coming at you. And you have to have that attitude of, not going to get me today. Not going to happen today.
Yeah. In the face of risk,
Yeah.
in the face of whatever consequences, come what may. Yeah. And
Not today.
sometimes, but you'll know in the moment, sometimes it's better to just hand the wallet
Sometimes
over,
it is.
right?
Right.
But that's the wisdom of being present that comes from being present,
Yeah.
being in the now.
Yeah.
All right. Really good. Yeah. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. And last thing I've learned, I know, is if you don't sweat the small stuff, you're actually able to handle bigger stuff, bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to grow in your business and your relationships as a father, as a mother, as a human being, as you stop sweating and reacting to the small things, you gain a different level of power and confidence and esteem within yourself to handle bigger things. And God, the universe, will give you bigger things to take on because you can handle it. And all right, y'all, thank you for listening. Please the show, subscribe to the channel, leave comments. And this is Baron Baptiste, and I am
I
grateful
have
for
one
all
more
of you
book.
listening. Yeah, what's your book, David? Real quick.
My book, Hello Inside.
Oh, cool. Self-mastery
Self-mastery.
over negative energy. Perfect.
Yes, at my
Perfect for the
website.
topic.
Yeah, at escapeyourmindsprison.com.
Yeah, really good. You can check me out at baronbaptiste.com as well. All right, y'all. Stay true, stay blissed, stay in a place of center so that you can keep disrupting the drift with some power in your life. Until next time, peace be with you.